Hi everyone, thank
Hello,
you for joining us. We're about to go live in about 1 minute, so welcome to the room. We'll just give it a minute or so to let anyone who hasn't yet had the chance to join, give them a chance to get through the door and into the virtual webinar.
Okay.
While we're waiting, we'll give it another minute or so. If anyone's got any questions already that they want to ask, just pop it into the private chat and we can get to those at the end. And the same with if throughout the online workshop, if a question comes to mind, just type it in there and we'll process those questions right at the end of the session. We've put some time aside for that. And just some housekeeping, the workshop should take roughly 40 minutes or so, 40 to 45 minutes. So hopefully you've set aside that time. If you don't have the chance to stay right to the end, don't worry, because we're recording it and we'll be emailing it through to everyone at the end as well. So, okay, it's right on 10 o'clock now our time. Might just give it a go. Okay, a few more people coming in, so we might. Great. Okay, we might just start because we know everyone's time is precious.
Yep.
So
it's 10 o'clock according to the Google clock. So let's use it while we still have access to Google here in Australia.
And we hope everyone can see our presentation on the screen. If you can't, please just type a message. Otherwise, we will get started. Great. Okay.
Okay, so good morning. My name's David.
And I'm Carmen.
And together we are
Red Platypus.
See, we practiced that. Now, today's webinar is all about how to write a persuasive About Us page that converts. It's quite a large topic. This is only a 45-minute webinar, so we're going to try and cram as many pearls of wisdom from our professional experience into that as possible to give you some pointers on how to do that. But just a bit of a note on the format. We're both on the screen at the moment. That probably will change because at any second, that door behind us could burst open and our 4-year-old daughter could come in demanding some more snacks because, as many of you know, Western Australia is in the final day of a snap 5-day lockdown. We've also got a bushfire as the crow flies about 15 k's from our house. So we're just going to have to roll with it today. Also, our 4-month-old, 6-month-old.
Get it right.
Baby daughter could wake up at any second. So if that happens in the first half, Carmen is going to go off and take care of the kids. If either of those events happen in the second half, I'll disappear.
So apologies for that. It wasn't planned. They were both meant to be in daycare and school today, but you know, this is COVID and life is unpredictable, so we're just rolling with it.
That's the About Us.
Okay. So anyway, we're so excited to welcome you here today to our online workshop. We promise that what we're going to deliver today is a chance for you to unlock your opportunity to grow your customer base by writing a persuasive About Us page. And we're going to give you the tools around that to do that. Now, if you don't have the time to craft a compelling About Us page, then you could possibly be missing out, because what an About Us page does is that it allows you to stand out from the crowd. And by doing this, you can access more sales because you will put yourself ahead of your competitors. Now, you may think that perhaps the About Us page isn't as important as the home page, and sure, you will be right because most people go to the home page first. But did you know that your About Us page is actually the second most read page on most people's websites? So rather than you might be thinking that we've got to invest time into your blog and maybe invest time into your sales pages, and sure, those pages are certainly vital, but your About Us page is just as important. And now what does this tell us? This tells us that your potential customers and prospects want to learn more about you, establish some trust with you, and learn how you operate before they purchase from you or contact you. So this is why getting your About Us page right is so absolutely vital. So.
Okay, so it's me, it's mine. Now, a little bit about us. Carmen and I have been in the media industry for a combined 30 years, which makes me feel incredibly old. But we've both been journalists for a very long time. We've both worked for major news agencies, including the ABC, BBC World News and Al Jazeera over in London, and also here in Australia. And we've also set up our own agency, Red Platypus, because we love working in the media, but we want to work for ourselves and we want to be our own bosses and work with people that we love to work with. So that's why we've founded Red Platypus to craft compelling content for people. We also travel quite a lot. Just before COVID, we came back from an 18-month caravan trip around Australia with our little baby, where we documented it all through a travel blog. So we're pretty used to telling about us and sharing our story without oversharing. And some of those insights from our professional life and personal life we're here to share with you today.
And after working with our clients for nearly 8 years, we founded Red Platypus just about 8 years ago now. We have had the chance to write many about us pages and sort of develop our expertise in that sector.
Great.
So our main goal today is to show you some simple tips and tricks that you can implement today or tomorrow, but in the immediate term, to write engaging about us copy that will lead you to more conversions with your customers. So without further ado, this is a rundown of what we will be covering today.
Okay, so to set the frame for why we're going to be talking about why the About Us page is important, it's because it's all about story. It's all about sharing who you are to create authenticity between yourself and your customer. Now, if we were talking about business to business, very large, high level corporate, you would probably need a much drier About Us page. But we're talking about small businesses and independent people, entrepreneurs, people who do have a story to tell and need to make a human connection rather than a qualification or technically driven connection. So that's what we're about today. So we're going to talk about why you should forget the hard sell, why you shouldn't focus on that aspect of your story, why you should bring up the more personal and intriguing things. And by doing that, we're going to help you identify the values that you have in business and in life and things that are going to bleed through into your copy. So that helps to tell your story. We're also going to help identify who your customers are so that you can craft a story to them that attracts them in. That's about creating leads and creating sales opportunities. But to do that, we've got to create trust. So how do we be authentic? How do we do that? It all links back to telling our story and identifying our values. Tips for great storytelling, of course, that's a massive topic, and I'll do my level best to
cover it in 3 minutes.
Cover it in 3 minutes, but we'll have a crack. Ways to be personal without oversharing. We think that's pretty vital because you don't want to be, sharing pictures of your kids' kindergarten kind of thing, but you also want to tell who you are. So there's a bit of a fine line there, and I think we all instinctively know where it is, but we're definitely going to dive into that. How long your About Us page should be. That's a very vexed question sometimes. Using testimonials and social proof as a way of creating more authenticity. Understanding what kind of images and video works best, because they're great ways of augmenting your written words. Because
Absolutely.
I'm a writer, but I do recognize that written word is not everything.
Yeah.
Developing a call to action, because as with all forms of marketing, it's all about pushing some kind of message. Which is to contact you, to get in touch, to make a sale. So the point of the About Us page, doing all this personal story, is really to get people to connect with you. So that we'll develop call to actions to do that. And at the end, hang around for a free About Us one-on-one consultations with Carmen.
Yes, we will give you some more details on that at the end of the presentation. So stick around.
So have you got your cup of tea handy? Okay, so let's set a frame. I'm going to start off with my section here. So let's set a frame of skip the hard sell. Now, like I said before, most businesses like, say, BHP, a very large corporation, their About Us page will be quite technical. It will tell what they do, why, how they do it, when they were founded, perhaps. There's not going to be too much personality within that because it's very important to large corporations that they have what we call corporate speak. They have to tick a lot of boxes and be extremely correct. And that's fine. You and I are not going to go directly to BHP to buy some iron ore. But your local electrician, you are wanting to know, first of all, what are they definitely qualified? What sort of experience do they have? And that's fine. But all the other electricians will have similar kind of ticks on those boxes.
Expertise.
similar bits of expertise. Skipping the hard sell in this context means in order to stand out from the competition and attract the kind of people that you want to work with and develop relationships with your customers, you have to give a bit of yourself. You can't just be like BHP and say, we are the great Australian miner and we've got 50 mines, blah, 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 blah. You need to tell who you are and what you do. What makes you different? It's the point of difference that will make people choose you over your competitors. Because after all, most of the time we pick products based on whether a friend's told us about it, whether we're attracted to the packaging, whether we're attracted to the image that's portrayed. That's all story. That's all things that are conveying certain things that will connect with people. So why do customers want to buy from you specifically? Well, they want to buy from you because you're bloody brilliant. You have a fantastic story to tell. You have great things that you're on about. And
so with that electrician example, Dave, like how would you market your point of difference as an electrician?
Well, there are many ways to do that, but the way I would say that is that a regular electrician could just have his or her qualifications up. If you have a compelling About Us page that shares about you, you will say, I've been mucking around with electricity since I was knee-high to a grasshopper. I used to take apart clock radios, and I love it. I love everything about it. And I founded this business to feed and clothe my family and to do good things in the community. And I'm a paragon of virtue in the community. I coach the local soccer team. I do all this kind of stuff. And so you're demonstrating that you're more than just an electrician. And from that, people will look at that and go, well, that sounds like a great person. I'd like to hire that person.
So make it more personal.
Make it way more personal. Now, I think a really great example, aside from an electrician, is Scott Pape, the Barefoot Investor. Not only is this a fantastic title for everything, the Barefoot Investor, it's not your usual, dry financial advice. This is actually the highest selling book in Australian history. More than 1.5 million copies have been sold. Now, let's just consider that this is the About Us page, the cover of this book.
Can I just jump in for a sec? For those of you overseas who don't know who Scott Pape is, he is a financial advisor in Australia.
Yeah, so instead of having, Scott Pape, financial advisor, how to make money in a tough market, and he's wearing a suit and he's surrounded by money and he's got a Rolls Royce, those aren't his values. We can see what his values are just from the cover. It's him with his dog and his wife and kids. And he's wearing an open-necked chambray shirt. This is a very relaxed guy who wants to help you and families make money for themselves.
He looks very approachable.
It's very approachable. So this is a fantastic example of an About Us that really cuts through on that personal level. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong in the About Us page. They think, well, people just want to know about my company and I have to speak in a kind of boring, matter-of-fact, boilerplate way. No, it's a huge opportunity to tell your story, create some authenticity.
So leading on from that,
you need to identify your values. Now, every person has a story to tell, but we need to tell it in a compelling way. The most compelling way we can do that is to identify your values. Earlier this year, Carl and I did the exact same thing. We did this for Red Platypus because we had an About Us page that was good, but it was quite long, and it mostly just listed the services that we have.
And it was a bit too corporate, wasn't it? It wasn't personal enough for us.
So we thought, what are our values? Well, all our values, I've already shared them with you all. We love to travel. We love our family. We love working for ourselves. We love working with people who share those values. So in doing that, we then recrafted our About Us page to tell our story. And in telling our story, we slipped in those qualifications and those bits of experience so that it read in a compelling way while also being authoritative, but it was also authentic.
And can I just say one thing there? The great thing about doing that is that we attract the clients that we want to work with because they have the same values as us. So they can see, oh, I connect with that because I feel the same. And therefore, we are actually attracting people that we really want to work with, customers that we know that we're going to love.
That's right. So skip the corporate speak. You can still have that kind of stuff in there, but I would be very careful in doing it. Identify your values. Why do you do the business? Why do you do the particular business that you do? What sort of standards do you have? And let's be frank, we are all in the entrepreneurial, small business, independent space. There are a lot of commonalities here, and people who are engaging with you as a business are probably looking for that. If we go back to the electrician example, There are scores of electrical companies that are chain stores, and they share a sort of corporate value. But going to the little guy, why would you go to him or her? Because they have something that they can't have, which is authenticity, the sort of over the back fence kind of connection that we can have. So sit down and think, what are my values in business and in life, and how can I convey that to my customers through the About Us page and include it in a good way? Now, a really good example of this is our friend Duncan Ward. He founded a charity called Classroom of Hope. This is his About Us page. Now, it doesn't tell you when, the date that Classroom of Hope, it's a charity, a not-for-profit for education in developing countries. It doesn't go into corporate speak. It doesn't go into, boring boilerplate. It tells the story. So it's
very personal and emotive. Yeah. And I think that's really important if your business is a charity, because you are striking at the heart chords of people and getting them to donate money. So really it does need to be emotive for that kind of business. So his is really telling his story about why he founded, what moved him to start this charity. So it's a great example there. And we'll include this resource in the page at the end that we'll share with you.
Okay, now leading on from that, understand your audience. Like I said before, most people who are coming to you are coming to you for you. They're coming to you because you are different from everybody else. So why are they coming to you? What is the reason that they are? Maybe they've had a bad experience with a chain store. Maybe they have had they're frustrated with products that are out there and they're looking for something different. Well, provide them with something
Maybe
different.
They want to support local, which
That's right.
There's a big movement at the moment to do so.
Definitely, especially in the COVID times. So, and also that brings us to a very good point. Because of COVID, everyone's locked down at home. Authenticity is becoming really, really important.
Yes.
It's not enough just to have a nice, flashy corporate speak website. You've got to tell who you are, because people basically are interested. People like to buy from people. That's what it is. I worked in media for a long time, in commercial media, and we would always have the sales team. And I would always have a chat to them about, how do you actually do your sales? And they said, well, we don't sell the product, we sell ourselves. People buy from people. That's how the radio ads on 6PR are filled. They have salespeople who just have personal relationships with the businesses.
And that's the key here, is that you want to develop that relationship, and your About Us page is the key to doing that. It's that stepping stone. And to help you do so, it's really good if you can define the reason for why that customer or that potential customer has hit the About Us page and gone there in the first place. What kind of question do they want answered?
That's right. So we're doing all these so that we can ultimately establish trust.
They want to know, are you legit? Maybe they're searching to see where you're based, that kind of thing. So we need to answer those questions on that About Us page.
That's right. So ultimately, this is all about inspiring trust and authenticity. So you can think of your website as a chance to meet your customers virtually. It's not just a calling card showing off all of your services and all of your qualifications and that kind of thing. Everyone's got those services. Everyone's got those qualifications. What makes you unique and different? That's the thing that's going to attract the people that you want to work with too. And that's what's going to make people engage with you specifically. Now, when you tell personal details, not too personal, but you share your story, it creates authenticity, which creates trust. We go back to, I think, the example of the barefoot investor. He is showing you his dog. He's showing you his wife and kids. He's showing you where he lives. He's showing you how he would actually dress. You'd trust this guy over a dude in a suit.
With a Ferrari.
With a Ferrari.
Who you can't really relate to. Or maybe you can, and if you can, that's awesome. But maybe you can't. So the way that Scott dresses is a lot more approachable. And just think of it this way. Back in the day, pre-web, or even like 5 years ago, many people, when they did business with someone else, they would meet them face to face. And from that initial meeting, you can get a gut instinct to how you feel about that business and how you feel about that client and whether or not you want to work with them. These days, especially in the COVID world, we don't have that opportunity. So your website is that virtual handshake of you meeting that person online. So you need to put your best foot forward, make yourself seem approachable, trustworthy, and so on, so that you can engage with those customers and bring them on board.
That's right. Now, just at the bottom here, a bit of a funny point, but give your phone number and your address to create legitimacy. Not your personal phone number, not your personal address, but your business ones. Lots of businesses these days on their websites just have a contact page.
Contact form even, that's
which is
very
fine, but it kind of pushes people away and holds them back.
It makes them seem a bit anonymous, really.
Just by having your phone number and your address, that's a really simple way to create some authenticity, in addition to telling an authentic story in your About Us page.
Yeah.
So let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Tips for great storytelling in 3 minutes. Go. Okay. So every good story, as we know this instinctively from the moment we're knee-high to a grasshopper, is we have a beginning, a middle, and an end. So your About Us story needs to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Now, let's go back to the electrician example. This can be the simplest story in the world. Back in 1976, I was working for what was then the Power Board, which is now Western Power, and I got really frustrated with the bureaucratic, stupidity of working for this great big organization. And I decided, I'm going to go out for myself and make my own business. That's the beginning. So already you have some values in there. You have, I am an independent person. I want to do better. I want to raise the standards of my industry.
Mm-hmm.
I want to, have a crack. The middle is the struggle. So over the decades, we've had many ups and downs. We've had financial crises, but all the way through that, I've trained up apprentices. So the value is I've added value to my community. I've fixed things all over town. And when I drive through the suburbs, I love seeing all the things that I've worked on. Carmen's dad's just like this. He's a building project manager. So he's like, built that.
Points out all his
built
buildings.
Built that. But that's great. That's really part of the story. And then at the end, I think that's where you can start bringing in your qualifications. I've done this and I've done this. And I hope that from these things, I can keep going and continue to be a good service.
Continue to help people, yeah.
So all those values are coming in.
Yeah, really crafting that distinct beginning, middle, and end to your story. That's great.
Yeah, and stories can be any format, but beginning, middle, and end is usually a good way. Now, this is kind of a tough point to make, but use an engaging hook. The hook is hook. You'll notice this in every news story. There's a hook in every news story. We call it a hook because it pulls you through like a fish, right? So the hook is basically a single theme. So in the example of the electrician, I think the hook would be I'm independent. I'm independent. So at every stage, you've got to find a way to bring that back, that I created this business to be independent. I value my independence. I want to be someone who's in control of stuff, but also giving to the community. So at every stage of that beginning, middle, and end, the hook is independence. And then that's a value in business, and that's also a value that will be mirrored in your customers. People will go, well, I'm independent. I want to support a local person. I want someone who doesn't just accept the norms of their sector. So that's why they'll come to you.
Thread going through the story.
That's right. And by sharing this is authenticity, trust, value, all coming together. Beyond corporate speak. Forget corporate speak. Give us you. Which, speaking of, lift the curtain on your business. Everyone is interesting. Everyone has something interesting to contribute. Like the other week, I was driving along the freeway and I saw a truck and it had beautiful decals on the side, hand-painted decals. Who did that? I want to know who did that. Who does this? They're on every single truck. And they're from the Old West. They come from the stagecoaches. It's a tradition going back hundreds of years. And there's a couple of small businesses out in Vic Park that do that. I want to know why they do that. Who are the people that are doing that? Why are you doing that? That's fascinating to me. Lift the curtain on your business. Actually show us inside what you do. It
what motivates you and drives you.
Yeah. Who are your apprentices? Why are they with you? Tell your story. This is the age of social media, the age of social proof. And you know what? It can feel like a bit of a burden, but it's also an opportunity to tell your story and to share.
Work it to your advantage.
That's right. Yeah. We have a friend who runs Weigh and Pay, which is a brilliant business that, you go in and you buy specific amounts of ingredients. It's packetless and all that kind of thing. And sustainable. His social media is all about the staff and all about the recipes that they've got. And what that does is it creates community. That's why people go there. People could go to Woolies and buy big packets of stuff, but they choose to go to Weigh and Pay because there's a community, because he tells the story.
Exactly.
And then they become part of that story. That's probably a point I haven't made. If you tell your story, people will want to become part of it because they'll see themselves in it.
Yeah.
So facts validate your story. Being personable and friendly creates authenticity. And if you're going to do some profiles of yourself or the people that you work for, put a bit of personality into it.
Absolutely.
I think human, is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Human is a really good example
A.
of injecting some personality.
So let's just have a look at
check these guys out. Whoa. Now you don't have to go quite as far out as
I
that.
love how quirky it is, though.
But they are a copywriting and creative agency. And
Yeah.
look, if you're going to do some copywriting and creativity, and you
they're not copywriting. I think they're digital product agency.
Sorry, digital.
Well,
okay.
I think they do a bit of anyway.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
But they're pretty far out. But if you look at how they, you don't have to be like this. But this is an example probably of the perimeter that you could go to. And don't worry, people aren't going to judge you really hard. They're just like, oh, cool, what a fun bunch of people. You know, for my next digital ad, I would want to work with these guys.
But just looking at that photo, you can see the exact type of clientele that they want to attract. They want to attract hipster companies, companies that are funky, have a bit of pizzazz, who are daring to be different.
Yes,
they're trying to attract clients with those kinds of values. It's very strong. Who is Scott trying to attract? He is trying to attract mums and dads, approachable, friendly people who live in the suburbs. You know, it's very clear who he's trying to attract. So by putting out your personality, you will attract that same personality back to you, which is perfect because it aligns with who you want to work with.
Exactly. So that's my 3 minutes on storytelling. Now over to Carmen.
Yeah, so I'm just going to move on a bit to ways to be personal without oversharing. Now, obviously, you want to be as personal as possible, but I mean, this really goes without saying. You don't want to share too many intimate photos of your children or where they go to school or their full names, that kind of thing. And at the end of the day, even though you do want to share your story, you don't want it to become a sob story that's completely focused on you. And yes, it is a story about you. It is your About Us page. But at the end of the day, the ultimate aim of your business is about helping people and serving a certain sector or a certain niche. So even your About Us page needs to link back to the customer. You need to remember your customer. Even though you're writing it about you, it needs to reflect how you plan to serve them. So never forget this. It's really key. But at the same time, your About Us page is a brilliant page because it allows you to show your passion for your industry, your passion for what you do, what drives you, what connects you to this industry, what is the tie and the link. Maybe ever since you, like personally for me, ever since I was a little girl, I wanted to be, well, it was editor of Dolly magazine when I was little, but I've always wanted to be in the writing industry. Sharing that kind of story makes people connect with you and they go, oh, that's really sweet. And it makes them think of what they wanted to do when they were little and how they aspired and had dreams from a young age. You know, all this passion should come through on your About Us page. And what it does, it shows you that you have a passion for your service, you have a passion for your product. And by delivering this passion, it allows your customers and your clients to also have a passion for it. Because at the end of the day, if you're not passionate enough, or if you're not showing that you're passionate enough, why should they be passionate about what you do? You know, it's really key that you lead off on your best foot.
That's right. Remember, people buy from people.
Exactly.
If they like you, they'll buy from you.
If they like you, they will like your product. Yeah. But at the end of the day, keep your story sharp and to the point, because remember, this is an online platform and we're not here to read a novel. So we want to keep it succinct. So that leads me on to how long the About Us page should be.
How long is a piece of string?
Exactly. If you have a big, lengthy story that's been told over 40 years, it is really hard to compile that into a short time frame.
That's Scott Pape's half a page.
Yeah, about the author. He's literally got a few paragraphs, and that's in the actual book. That's not even online. Yeah. So we need to think about how we can craft it in a way that tells the message as quickly as possible, so that you give your clients and customers a chance to read that message quickly. So normally I would suggest about 6 paragraphs at the most, but if you have more, you can work in crafty ways to kind of engage the audience all the way through the content.
And when you say paragraphs, 2 lines, right?
Yeah, 2 or 1 line. A paragraph is sorry, paragraph is 1 to 2 lines. So think about incorporating imagery And it's so easy to do these days. You can use free or cheap platforms like Canva. I created this presentation on Canva. I just have a pro subscription, and it's so easy to do. Even like I don't have any design experience, and it's easy to whip it up. So use engaging graphics throughout your web page, even if you don't have the budget to hire a graphic designer. Get creative. You can incorporate videos. You can use graphics like an infographic, or even a timeline is a brilliant way to kind of show highlights and milestones in your business that have happened over the years in a really quick and easy to grasp manner. And this all works to break up the content. Think about using bullet points or subheadings. I know personally on our About Us page, we have movable text. So as you scroll down, it kind of comes into view, and all that movement kind of is visually appealing and engages your customer and gets them to read on to the bottom of the page because they want to keep scrolling and to get that movement. It's very appealing. Also think about inputting links onto your page, because you don't want your, this will tie into the call to action, which I'll talk about a little bit later, but you don't want your customer to get to the end of the page and have nowhere to go. So throughout your copy, if you were talking about, I don't know, a project you worked on, a specific project, link to that page on your website that goes into detail about that project. If you have a spot on your website that talks about your neighborhood or where you run your business, link that page to the Contact Us section on your website that has a map of where your business is featured. Think about ways. That's really good for SEO to provide links into your website, but also it also gives your customer and your reader the chance to read more if they want to learn more detail. And yeah, keep it as short as you absolutely can. So next we're going to talk about testimonials and social proof. Now, in this day and age, we often look for, since the dawn of time, we've looked for recommendations. We will shop in the market and go to a certain stall if our friend has recommended that stall. Same goes for online. If someone doesn't know you, they are less inclined to buy from you. However, if you have testimonials from real life people displayed on your About Us page, this just creates some social proof that you are good at what you do. Now, if you're a business starting out, you may not yet have any testimonials, but even if you've worked for 1 or 2 or 3 clients, go back to those clients, drop them a quick email and say, hey, look, I really enjoyed working with you. I'm just launching a new website, or I'm redoing my About Us page. I would love for it if you could just write me 1 or 2 or 3 lines saying about how you enjoyed working with me. Hopefully you did, and I will display that. Now, I know from us, we did this when we relaunched our website, and we found it really easy to get some quick testimonials up on our site. For us, we personally display them on our homepage, which is another great place to display testimonials. But either your homepage or your About Us page is really vital to have this social proof on your page, because if someone doesn't know you from Adam and they come to your website, they want to just make sure that you are legit and you are good at what you do. And testimonials and social proof are one of the best ways to do this.
Don't ask, don't get.
Yeah. And if you're a service or even a product, actually a business, and you have a Facebook page or a Google account where people can write Google reviews, and you have had some positive reviews on there, feel free to screenshot those and include them on your website too, because this also shows that you are good at what you do and that people are enjoying reading about you. You can also include logos of organisations that you're a part of. So, for example, we on our website have logos for the Wanneroo Business Association because we are members there. And this kind of does 2 things. It shows that we work locally. So if people are in Wanneroo or they're in Perth and they know Wanneroo, they know that we are a local business. So it goes back to that supporting local. And the second thing it does, it just gives us some authenticity and shows that we are part of an organisation, part of a group, that we are an established business, and just gives us a little bit more kudos, I suppose. Now, a good example is one of our friends, Drasco. He has recently launched a restaurant which is doing really, really well in Perth in Mount Hawthorn, and he has drummed up a lot of press about his business, and he has been fortunate enough to have lots of media outlets cover him or review his food. And so he has displayed these kind words on his About Us section of his website. And so here you can just see how he's done it. So he's included the headline of the article, and then he's used a quote that has been pulled from that article and then linked at the bottom so that the visitor to the website can actually click on that link and read the article in full. So this is just a really great way to engage people who are thinking about dining at his restaurant. And I tell you, if you read one of those articles, you are going to want to eat there because it is delicious.
It's very hot though.
Yeah, spicy chicken, but worth it.
It's really good.
Dave might have to leave because our baby daughter has just woken up, so apologies for that. Anyway, so moving on to how to choose the images and videos that you want to display on your website. Now, imagery, as I discussed before, is really, really important. Even though I'm a lover of words and a copywriter, I can honestly say that you can't just use words on your About Us page. You need to create some engagement through imagery. And as this statistic shows that I've included in this presentation, 60% of consumers are more likely to contact a business if they have relevant images show up in a search. So for example, if you Google red platypus, you will probably see that a photo of, I think, either us personally or our logo will pop up. Just going to shut that door because it's rather noisy. Sorry about this. Now, photos just help to, once again, establish that trust and to provide authenticity. So one of the best ways to create an engaging photo for your website, if you don't have the budget to get them professionally done, just ask a friend to take some. You know, iPhones are great these days. You can get some great visuals. Just remember to think of your lighting and go from there. But try and get photos that are of you at work. Now, sure, if you're working in an office space, it may not be that interesting, but if you are a tradie or, for example, if you own a little bakery, get some photos of you behind the counter baking some bread or serving a customer with a big smile on your face. Show you in your state of work, even if that's working in an office. I know last week Dave and I shared, it wasn't on the About Us page, but just a way of creating authenticity. We were filming an online course and we just took a snapshot of where we were filming it. It was in our kids' playroom, but we had set up the background to make it look like it wasn't. And it was kind of like a behind the scenes view. It was that, once again, lifting the curtain kind of ethos. And we had heaps of engagement on that post from our followers because they thought it was quite funny and it was quite personal. And, you know, people like to know that you are a human working behind that business and putting your all into what you do. So think about that to create engagement. Think about photos that are not just, you know, the stilted headshot. Get some action in it. Get some personality across. Make it look approachable. Once again, Scott Pape, he looks approachable. It's not a headshot. He's got, I think this is on his farm where this photo was taken. It tells a lot just in that one photo about him. Think about using About Us video. Even if you film it yourself, you can do some really good engaging videos. And even if you work in a corporate environment in an office that might seem quite dull, there are some great videographers out there that can make it look funky and fresh and fun. Now, a good example of an engaging About Us video is Storypark, which is an app that was founded to help daycares communicate with parents and send them photos and updates throughout the day of what their kids are doing at daycare. And personally, we use this at my daughter's daycare, but I'm just going to show you 30 seconds and you can see that how the personality comes across.
My son Jamie built me a website. Jamie's favourite. Storypark started with Jamie creating something for his mum, for her centre for documenting children's learning. The journey became much more than I could see.
So Storypark was born in service to our mums, literally. Jamie made his mum a website and she kept on having these ideas or challenges that Jamie helped her overcome.
Well, you came to me with
So as you can see, that's really sweet. They are saying that they founded their website based on an idea that came from their mums, and their mums were their inspiration, which is really sweet. And it's also engaging, makes them human, personable, likable, and just even watching 30 seconds of that video, you kind of build a rapport with that company, and you are inclined to download the app if you have children, and you relate and connect with that audience. So after you've thought about your imagery and your videos and you've implemented that all on your About Us page, the next thing that you need to consider is developing your call to action. Because as I mentioned, there's no point having a beautifully crafted About Us page that's really engaging, that people really enjoy reading, getting really into your story, and then they get to the end, oh, it stops and there's nowhere to go. If you have captivated a market, you want to lead them on to the next spot in the sales funnel or wherever it is that you might want to bring them. Personally, for us, we link them to the Contact Us page, but we do so in a way that we tell the story. If you haven't had a chance to go read our About Us page, perhaps do it after this online workshop, but our About Us page is basically about how we love to tell people's stories. And at the very end, it says, please share your story with us. We want to hear it. And it links to our Contact Us page. So that's our call to action. But a call to action could be anything. It could be browse our catalog, sign up for our blog, start a free trial, subscribe to our newsletter, call us for a free quote, schedule in a consultation now, learn more about our product or service over here. You want to link them on, but it needs to be something of value. And often a great point of call is to ask them to sign up to your newsletter, because if you have written this beautiful About Us page that tells a wonderful story, then they want to read more about your business in the future. So this is the spot where they're going to be inclined to hit that button and sign up for your newsletter, which is great because you want to connect with them and you want to collect that data. So that's a great call to action for this space. Right, we're coming to the end now. It's 40 minutes past, so I feel like I'm right on time here. We will possibly have a few minutes for questions. Hopefully we will have some questions. So if you have any questions right now, feel free to pop them into the private chat box and I will get around to those. Otherwise, what are your next steps? So this has been a lot of information to process, I'm sure. So just take a moment after the webinar to go back. I will send you the recording. You can look at the notes, refresh your memory on any points that you want to do, and then go to your About Us page and have a go at revising it. Then I'd love you to find someone who doesn't know your business. Now, this could possibly be a friend, because I don't know if you're anything like us, we don't really talk about our business to our friends. So just ask them to check out your About Us page, send them the link and say, ask them 2 questions. Ask them, can you say what my business does by reading this page? And can you tell me why you think it's a success? If they can answer those 2 questions succinctly and in a way that's to the point, you know you have achieved your ultimate aim with your About Us page. You have connected with your readers and you have explained to them exactly what you do in hopefully a short few paragraphs. Now, once you are satisfied with your About Us page and you go away and leave it, don't leave it for like a year or 2 and never update it. Your business will grow over time, I'm sure, and it will change and adapt. New people will come on board and so on. It's really important to keep it updated and fresh with new information as your company changes and grows. So just come back to it like every 6 months or so and add in some more imagery perhaps, some more information about new team members, and just keep that content fresh. Now, time for questions. Does anyone have a question? Okay, I've got a question here. Someone is asking, when you first write your About Us page, what is the good message to put right at the top? Good point. I would probably lead with something that grabs the reader. So going back to that story that I had of when I was a little girl, I wanted to be an editor of a magazine, something like that will kind of be quirky and pop out. So perhaps if you're a hairdresser and you own a hair salon, you could say, our founder Sarah started Sarah's salon when she realized that there was a demand for wedding hairdos that she was seeing no hairdressers. I mean, I'm just ad-libbing here, but she was saying no hairdressers could fill that demand or fill that gap in the market. She noticed a gap in the market and she filled it. Or Sarah started Sarah's salon after doing her mum and dad's hair all their lives, and her dad decided that he was getting sick of her putting hair bows in. I don't know. Be creative, be funky, be personal, lead with like a great hook. Or Joe started selling fire retardant chemicals, which, I mean, that's quite boring, isn't it? When his neighbour's house caught on fire as a kid, and he realised that there must be a better way to safely put out a fire quickly and effectively. Okay, that idea just came to me because we have a fire burning close in a nearby neighbourhood. But yeah, tell the story. Even if your product might be seen as dull to some people, like maybe you were just selling baby bibs, you could say, I founded this company for selling baby bibs after my first child was born, and I could not find any product on the market that sold the right kind of bib that would fit my baby and not make a mess. You know, hook it into you and how you realized there was a gap somewhere and how you could bring about better products. Right, if anyone else has any questions, feel free to email them through to us and we will get back to you as soon as we can. And now we're just leading on to our final point is, here's our baby daughter, which is get a free consultation. Thank you for sticking with us to the end. Now we would love to offer you a free consultation, a 15-minute consultation. So how this is going to work is that we would love for you to email us with a link to your About Us page and a time that might work for you to have a chat with us. And we will revise your About Us page and we will talk about it together, and we will get back to you, with some feedback, and we will organise a call. And we will have a chat, a Zoom chat over the phone together and discuss your About Us page and how it can be improved. So I hope you found this online workshop helpful. Sorry about the distractions. I know it is not very professional, but it is the day and age we live in, the COVID world, and we just have to run with it. But we really appreciate you sticking to the end. We hope you found it useful. Feel free to contact us at any time. I will be emailing everybody the recorded video, the PDF of the presentation, all the resources that we talked about, and that email address that you can see, along with that URL. If you haven't had a chance to write it down, it's redplatypuscreative.com/persuasiveaboutus. And that's a unique URL only for the people who have attended this workshop. And all that information is going to be live on our website on that page. So thank you once more, and hopefully we will see you guys again soon. Thank you. And Dave says bye as well. Bye.
Bye.